Hi there, it's Michelle from CNC Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in New Zealand, and I wanted to show you how to make this adorable little card that I created for an event I do with other demonstrators 3 times a year called Crafternoon. So the latest event that we've had, I created this little card using the Pansy Petal suite of products from the new annual catalog by Stampin' Up, as well as some of the new in-color cardstock and shimmer paper. So if you have a close look, there you go, you can see some of the shimmering. So the card uses a bit of the shimmer paper and the new tags die. So we've got a little set of tags there with your sentiment, and then the card opens up, and then you have a matching sentiment on the inside. I've done 3 different styles, so we've got the love you much and the thank you card, and a little tag popped out, and a birthday card, which I'm going to show you how to make today. So I'll be showing you that, and we have the lovely little bee charms as well, which is one of the new products. Okay, so I will show you how to make one of these cards. So let's get started. First of all, you need cardstock. So I use the A4 cardstock, and I cut it 10 centimeters by 25 centimeters. And this last piece I'm going to use to make a tag from. Then I scored it at 10 centimeters and 20 centimeters. So that will make a square card. And then you also need designer series paper. This is from the new Pansy suite, and this designer series paper has lots of beautiful designs. This is called the Pansy Petal designer series paper. So you've got the beautiful pansies there, and then plain on the background. Then we have a gingham and some more pansies. And then there is another set of pansies and some stripes on the back. Some pastel-y colors. Most of the colors in this suite are from the new In Color set. And some gingham on the back there. And then we have pansies, and the dies from the pansy die set will cut out these 2 different sizes of pansies. They also cut out the stamps, which you can stamp your own, and then plain on the back. And then the last one are the leaves. Again, there's a die that cuts out the 2 different shapes of leaves, and then the back is pretty gingham. So we'll be using 2 different pieces from the designer series paper for this card. So the first piece, you need to have 9.5 by 9.5 centimeter square. And then you need another piece for the fold over section. That's 4.5 centimeters by 9.5 centimeters. So that's the back of it, but I'm going to use this front side there. Then for the inside, of course, you need a piece to stamp your sentiment. So that's going to be 9.5 centimeters square for the inside. And then you need some scrap pieces. So to cut the pansies, background of the pansies is the basic white. So you need scrap paper for that, and this piece happens to be, where's my notes? That's 5 by 7 centimeters, but basically you just need something big enough to use the dies to fit on there. So I've got 1 large die, 1 petal die, and then a little section for the flower on the inside. So piece big enough for those 3, which mine is 5 by 7 centimeters. Then you need another little scrap piece, at least 2 by 6 centimeters. We're going to use the smallest tag to cut out that image. With the tag dies, there's 2 options that you get. There's this shape, interesting shape at the top, and you have little circles you can put in there, or you've got the more squared off tags that you can use. They are slightly different sizes, so depending on which tag you use, will depend on your cardstock. Then you need just a little bit of ribbon for the tags. So this is 10 centimeters, and this is in the new in color, and I want to call that, let's see, that one is Fresh Freesia. And then you need a little bit of green cardstock, again for the background to cut out the items. So this is for the 2 different size dies for the leaves. So a little bit of scrap. This is Evening Evergreen, and that scrap piece is 3 by 5.5 centimeters. I'll just pop these down here. And then you need a scrap piece to be able to cut out the rest of the leaves. Now this is in the new Shimmer Vellum. So this is the soft succulent in the Shimmer Vellum. Now this Shimmer Vellum comes in all 5 of the in colors. So you need that piece big enough to cut out the highlights for your leaves. So that piece there, and that is 5.5 by 5.5 centimeters square. And then I also have a shimmer to do the outline for the petals, and this is 5.5 by 6 centimeters, and that one will cut out the outline for the big petal, the edging for the smaller petal, and then this is just for the center flower for the inside of the card. And so those fit nicely there. Now with the shimmer paper, I went ahead and put the adhesive sheets on the back. We sell the adhesive sheets in 6 by 12 inch sheets, which are perfect for the paper because the paper comes in 12 by 12 inch sheets. So what I've done is I've put it on the back, and I just want to show you the difference. This is the adhesive sheets, so you get a big set like that, 6 by 12 inches, and there's 12 of them in there, and they have it's sticky on the inside, so it's almost like double-sided tape. So you peel off one side and then you stick it down on the back side of the shimmer. Now the shimmer, here's a piece of the Shimmer Fresh Freesia, I believe. The back isn't shimmery, so you put the adhesive on the back part and you have the front shimmery, and then it makes it so it's not really see-through either. So see how that you can see through it quite easily? And this piece, not so much because it has the adhesive on. Once you cut it out, you can simply peel away the backing and it's already sticky. Makes it very easy for doing projects with a lot of fiddly pieces. That way you don't get sticky fingers, because trying to get these edges on with your Tombow, your fingers can get sticky. And the last thing you need is just a little bit of scrap left over. Again, this has adhesive on the back. Just whatever color you want to put the little part in the center. I think of it like a lion's main center part. So that central part there. So those are all the pieces. You also need, of course, the stamp set. So the Pansy Patch stamp set has lovely sentiments, and you can stamp the pansies if you want on cardstock and cut all those out. Or the dies also cut out the different sections that can be layered, which is what I'm going to show you today. And the sentiments, there's nice large ones for the inside and then smaller ones to put on the tags. So that's how I've come up with 3 different sentiments for this card. So let's get started. I'll just move all that aside. So one of the first things you're going to want to do is do your die cutting. Now, because they're all small pieces, you should be able to get all of them onto one pass through on your Big Shot. So make sure you've put your adhesive on the back of your cardstock, and then just place all your elements onto those pieces, and it will fit. And then there's the green of that. And background for the card. Now your little scrap for your tag. Pop that there. This is the piece left over when I cut the 25 centimeters. I had that section left over. And that I'm going to use to cut out the largest tag. So it fits just right up to the edge. So you're going to want to put that on there as well. And with your piece for the inside, before you glue it down, you want to use, this is the second largest tag, cut just a section off the right hand side of that. So this left hand side will be seen on the card, but the right hand side won't. So that's going to give us our designer series paper tag section there is actually cut from the part you can't see behind the flap. So you can't see it, it's hidden behind the flap. So that's cut off from that section. So when you do that, make sure it's the right hand side of your designer series paper, and it will fit on here. I'll just fiddle with it and run all that through, and I'll be back in a second to show you all the bits and put it together. Okay, so now I've die cut everything, and you might have a few little pieces left over like these. There is a little die that you can use to cut the center pieces out, so I'm going to hold on these and decide what piece to have for the very center of my flower, or you can go with a different color. I've already pre-cut some of those. So lots of dies in this set to cut everything out. So let's start putting things together. So another thing I forgot to mention is I'm using the blending brushes and the other in colors. So I'm using 4 of the 5 in colors. So I've got Fresh Freesia, Polished Pink, and Pale Papaya to color the white cardstock for the flower, and then the Evening Evergreen for the words on the sentiments. So for this one, I'm going to turn it into a birthday card. So we'll just move things aside at the moment. And the inside, I've got the words, wishing you a little extra happiness just because you're you. And I've actually already stamped them on the inside. So there they are, stamped on the inside in Evening Evergreen. And the happy birthday, when you stamp it on your little tag, it's actually a bit big. So if you stamp it straight, it'll hang over. So stamp it at the angle works better, or you can stamp it straight. I'll show you both examples. When you are stamping on your tag, you could stamp the cardstock first and then cut it out afterwards so you can center it, or if you've already cut your tag, you just have to be careful. But because it's photopolymer, it's easy to see through. So if I stamp it straight on the card, like the words going straight, and give it a little space over here, you can see that it barely fits the tag. It kind of hangs over. So that's straight, kind of hangs over. The other option, what I've done before, is I stamp it at an angle, which gives it a bit more whimsical. So you can do it either way. It will fit, but it's up to you how you want to stamp it. So I'll pop those aside to decide which I'm going to use. The other thing you need to do is on the thinner piece of designer series paper, you need to stamp your stem. So this set actually comes with a few different stem choices. This one has like a stalk and parts for the leaves, or just straight parts, and then that one goes more with the other budding flower. So it depends on what you want to, how you want to do it. But again, Evening Evergreen, because that's going to show up. And keep in mind your flower is going to be taking up like more than half of the space. So you don't want it to be stamped up too high. So just choose approximately where you want it, kind of a little bit up from the bottom. Central as best as you can, because you're going to have leaves on there as well. And because it's Evening Evergreen, it shows up quite nicely on there. Now I didn't stamp it on that side because I guess I probably could have, but then you'd have all the flowers in the background showing up. So I decided to stamp it on the striped side to give a bit of contrast. So that's the stamping that we've got to do. So I think I'll go with my whimsical happy birthday. Now your cardstock, which as I said is 10 centimeters by 25 centimeters, scored at 10 and 20 centimeters. So you're going to fold it onto itself, burnish that fold, and then the extra piece comes back onto itself and burnish that fold. And sometimes it doesn't go as straight as I'd like. There we go. Okay. Now I've die cut this from the right hand side of my designer series papers. So if you've got directional designer series paper, keep in mind how you're doing that. Make sure it comes from the right side and the directions are going one way, because if I did the other side, it wouldn't go with my card. So you can snip those bits off if you want, if you cut it quite close to the edge. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to snip a bit off there. I'm going to leave that for measurement purposes. And then I find the easiest thing to do with this is just a bit of Tombow. So don't worry, you're not going to see that cutout area as long as you did it fairly close to the right hand side. There's my Tombow. But you want to glue that in place before you do anything else. So it doesn't really matter about the right hand side, but you just want even amount of colored cardstock showing around the edges. So I'm just looking at these corners and making those edges even. This part doesn't matter because you're not going to see that, but there should be an even border around there. And then you just want a little bit on either side of there to hold it in place. Not too much glue. You could use your double-sided tape here, but just round the edge straight up, because this is where your tag is going to be sticking out from. And then just fold it over and just give it a little press down. And so you see the section that we cut this piece off can't be seen, and nobody's going to really look in there. Okay. And now that we've stamped our piece here, we can glue that in place. I'm getting to the end of my glue life. I need a new one soon. Okay. And make sure we put it the right way up. And it looks like I didn't cut that short enough. Oh, I'm going to have to snip that off. I've got it a bit long. I think I grabbed the wrong piece. I think I grabbed the extra spare piece that I was supposed to throw out. There we go, that's better. I just took that little extra. So it's supposed to be 9.5 centimeters high and 4.5 wide. I think I must have just cut the wrong end off. Okay, so that's that part, and then you can go and pop your inside in. Swap my glue so I have one that works better. You can use double-sided tape if you want. And that should fit perfectly. 9.5 by 9.5 square. There's the inside of your card. Now this will still fit into a standard envelope. You just have a little extra space in there. This would also be good for a gift card. You could have a gift card slip in there. You could turn it the other way around and have the surprise with the tag coming out the inside if you want. Now we can put our tag together. We got our 3 little elements of our tag. If you wanted to add a little bling to it, you could use from the Tailor tag set. It has little circles that you could cut out, so you could use that maybe on some of your leftover shiny to cut a little circle to put over the hole. That makes it look like tags coming off of the old-fashioned style that were coming off of suitcases and such. So what I do with this is I just squish up one end, twist it around a bit, and I come through leaving the loop on the outer side of my tag and just push it through. Now you can use your pick a tool, take your pick tool with your little picky part to push it through. That works quite well. Or if you're like me and you're a stitcher and you have a threader, a needle threader, you can use that, which is what I'm going to do because it'll be much quick and easy. So I've got this big threading tool. I made one out of wire, which I will show you in a minute. So this just has a thread part on one end. Stick it through the hole. Put the two parts that I want to thread in. So you can get a needle threader at any sewing store. But if you're like me and already do sewing, then you probably have a needle threader in your house. So once you get both pieces of the ribbon on one side, you pull it through, which is hard to do on camera. Let me try this again. One more try and then I'll put you on pause. So I'll pull one end through, and then I want both ends on the same side. Believe me, it's not as tricky as it looks. I'm just making it look difficult. And then take the other end out. Take your ribbon and stick it in. You all probably have a better way of doing this. Okay, so once you get both ends on one side, keep your loop on the other side. And then you just want to loop it over those ends. So if you have your loop there, you can just poke your thread through. Thread your ribbon through. See, I'm a sewer at heart, calling it thread. There we go. Hello, it's easier coming through that way. So just tighten it up how you like it. And then you can snip your ends to make them pretty. At an angle, very sharp snips. Got to make sure your snips are sharp, otherwise you'll have trouble cutting them. Okay, there we go. That's the tag done. And now, so that's the tag done. So depending on what your tag is, you can have happy birthday, thank you, love you, and then the message on the inside. Now let's get our flowers done. So I'm going to use the blending brushes and these other inks to give me some color on the inside. So I'm going to get some scrap paper to blend on. And that's why this is Whisper White. Now you could just go with a colored cardstock and put the shimmer on it, but I find it didn't give me the kind of impression I wanted. Didn't give me the wow factor. So based on what flowers I can see in the background is how I'm going to color my pansy. So I'm going to open up the fresh Freesia, the polished pink, and the pale papaya. Now you want to have different blending brushes for this, so I've got one for each color. And if you haven't used the blending brushes before, I highly recommend investing in them. You can use your sponge daubers to do this, but sometimes it gets a bit heavy-handed. So depending on which color flower you want to go for. Now I've got the pink outline there, so I think I'm just going to subtly give a bit of purple, but concentrate more on the pink in the pale papaya. So you dab up your brush a bit on the ink, and just like the sponge daubers, you can sponge a little excess off. And I'm just going to come in from the center with a bit of the purple because I'm planning to do the purple in the center. And so I'm just going to tap a bit off and come through and just give the center a nice wash of purple. And the same with the petal that's coming up from the back. Now you could add more petals to your pansies. A lot of times the pansies do have 2 petals, but for this card, 2 petals might be too much. Don't worry if it gets too dark in one spot because that will be hidden. And I think I just want to add a bit more. So I hold the edges of my blending brush when I blend it, and that gives me better control. Originally I pushed in the center and that gave me too dark. But just like any other product with the blending, you go in light and you can always add more color. Can't take away. Now something like this little piece that's hard to hold on to, that's when the pick a tool comes in handy. You can just press down and then I can just blend over the edges. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that for a minute and move on to another color. Now seeing as the pink's going to come from the edge, I'm going to come down from the edge with the pink because I'm going to be covering most of that edge up with my shimmery vellum, but I just want to have a little bit kind of hint coming through. And I am definitely no expert on coloring things. I just learn by practice and watching other people, mainly YouTube videos. I see a lot of YouTube videos I like to watch to see how other people do their colors. Now see, I just went a bit dark there, but the bottom will be covered a bit. Okay, and then same here. Just come in from the top. There's a lot you can do with these blending brushes. I think you could even use them with our new pastels, but I haven't had a chance to play with the pastels yet. So you can just have whatever darkness or lightness you want. And so you can even come in like I do with sponge daubers and just kind of bring a bit of color in that way. So now I'm going to move on to the pale papaya and try to get some of the center with the pale papaya. So I'm just coming through the center, coming up through the center more towards the petals. And so here I'm just going to go back and forth through the center. Oh, a bit dark on the edges, but that's okay. Flowers are all different anyway. Okay, because that's going to be like going there. So I'm just kind of trying to get colorations fairly similar. Okay. And then I'll just add a bit on this one here. Just going to use the cap to hold it down. There we go. Okay. That's why I could go all day coloring it. But that looks pretty good to me. So put the inks away and we will now move on to putting our flowers together. So the blending brushes you can rinse out in cold water and most of the color will come away. So now I have those bits. And my leaves. Now remember I put the adhesive on the back of these guys so they will stick in place nicely. So I'm going to do the inside flower, and this actually sticks over that part. And so you can see I've got the shimmery on the inside. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue just on, I think I'll put it on this part, just a bit of glue here. Hold it in place. And this is for the flower on the inside, the bud. So you can, depending on how far up or down you put it, you get a different effect of your petal. And then you can put the green on here. Now this has adhesive on it, so I'm simply going to peel off the backing. To hold that in place and put it over. And you can see once the adhesive is off, it still is kind of transparent there, but it gives you that lovely shimmer. So for the inside of the card, got to decide where I want that to go. I think I just want it to be in that top corner. So I'll peel the rest of that off. And this pink part had adhesive as well, so I can peel that adhesive off. Okay. There you go. And now I can just place my flower where I want it to be, so place it down gently. And it sticks in place nicely, so there you go. Beautiful little flower in there. Then you can close over it, give it a bit of pressure if you'd like. Now this flower, we will put the edges on. If you have trouble with the edges, you can always use something sharp to peel it up, to poke and peel it up. As I say, it doesn't work. The other thing is if you bend one edge over, it should make the adhesive pull off, and it's not going to damage your vellum, because vellum is very forgiving. This shiny vellum is. So there, I pushed it over, and see how that's made it peel off. And just pull the whole thing apart. Because it's not cardstock, it won't rip very easily. And then you just get those edges set. It doesn't stick really strongly at first, so you do have room to move it around. So just look at the corner bits, you know, the bits going in, and get those lined up. And the edges should just line up nicely. Just go around and press it, and look, it's already nice and shiny. And then with your other one, so I just folded that edge over until the adhesive backing peels off. I just noticed. There we go. And peel it off. I've been doing some gardening and I just noticed how grubby my fingers look. Sorry about that. So for this one, you just try to line up where the bumps are on one edge. And again, it just kind of gently sets in place. And because it has adhesive on there, I don't have sticky fingers, and I didn't have to try to put a lot of glue and get it stuck. So this is going to sit there. You can have it up as high or as low as you want. I just like to kind of line up the pink sides. So just a little bit of glue to hold that in place. Up to the areas I said. And then you can actually manipulate your flower a bit if you want, either with bone folder or just with your fingers. Give it a bit of a dimension so it'll look better on the page. And then whatever center you want. So I think I'm going to go with that purple in the center. Again, just bend over a bit of the vellum to get the backing to come away from the front. And then pop that down. I find this centerpiece actually lines up nicely Lines up nicely with the two edges of the other part. Okay. And then you could pop a bit of a gem in the center, or another piece. So I've got this piece I've done earlier that I've already got the adhesive on the back, and that's the pale papaya shimmer as like before, and I'll set that in the center of it. There we go. I miss having my longer nails, they all broke recently, so we'll stick that in the center there. There's the flower, and for the leaves, we simply again take the adhesive backing off. I'm making it look more difficult than it is, probably because I'm on a video. There we go. And because my thumbnail broke off recently, so I went with the Evening Evergreen for the background and the shimmering soft succulent color for the foreground. I did try doing shimmer on shimmer and it just doesn't look very good, so then that sticks down much easier with the adhesive. You don't get glue everywhere. Go. So with the adhesive backing, I just cut my big piece 12 by 6 and just put adhesive on the entire back. If you want something smaller, just cut your adhesive to the size of the cardstock, but definitely put it on before you die cut. And with the amount of adhesive sheets in there, it lasts a long time. So you got those, and then for my card I just popped one over the big one in the background and then popped the other one up. So just a bit of glue on there to hold that in place. You don't really see where the leaf stem's coming from, so it doesn't really matter. And that little guy I'm going to put dimensional, if I can find them. There we go. So we'll just pop dimensional on the back of that little guy. And make him pop up a bit over there. And then a couple on the back of the flower. One on the big part. There we go. Peel that off. And I just like to put it, you could put it straight on, but I like to put it at an angle. Just keep in mind when you're putting it on the front that it doesn't hang over the edge too much. So there you go. So now we got a birthday card. So you got a little tag. You could write a little message on the back there, or a hidden message on the inside if you want there. So you got your little tag there. Happy birthday. And the inside, and I just realized we haven't put the special last bit. Bees. So there's bee charms now. Little bumblebee bee charms. And when you stick the charms down, the best way to do it was with a piece of a glue dot. But you can have your bee just gold like that, or if you want to make it more bee-like, I have mine with a bit of black. And to do that, you can use the black blends pen, because the dark basic black blends, because this is a permanent pen, alcohol based, so it will permanently stick to there. And so what you do, just see if I can do this on the camera. So if you're holding your bee, the parts you want to be black. Now on the back, my daughter explained the best part is just this part here. So if you just gently go over the tip with the tip on the top layer. It only picks up, there you go, I think you can see it's picking up just where the raised lines are, and then I went and just put a bit of black on the legs because the bees, as far as I'm concerned, have black legs. So a little bit of black on the legs, and then some black on the head and the antennas. So I'm hoping you can see this. So the front legs, the head, and the antenna. So there's just the head. Okay, so hopefully you can see, is it going to focus? There we go, that's focused. Okay, so I've got the head and just this few of the lines in the back and the legs, just with my basic black Stampin' Blends pen. And that's permanent, so that's going to stick on there and not come off, so nothing coming off on my fingers. Okay, and then just a glue dot, because there's no other way really to stick down the charms, and the best thing to do is just stick the charm right on top of your glue dot, and then choose where you want to put it. So I think for this one I'm going to put it on the leaf. So you can decide where to put your bee. So there you go. So we've got happy birthday, we've got thank you, love you much. So those are the cards I designed and taught at Crafternoon this June. I hope you enjoyed those. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. You can subscribe if you'd like to see more videos in the future. And I will be putting a list of the products used below. I will also be doing a blog with the details of the sizes of everything as well. So you can see my blog at papercraftaddiction.blogspot.co.nz. And if you'd like to buy any of these products, contact your demonstrator. If you don't already have a demonstrator and you are here in New Zealand, I'd love to be your demonstrator. You can go to my site at michellekritchley.stampinup.net to order directly from me, or to find contact details if you want to be in touch, and if you want to come to any classes in the future. Thanks so much for watching, and have a lovely day. Bye.